Lori became obsessed with a writer named Chad Daybell. So Chad here is a writer, right? And he is known for a series called Standing in Holy Places. The friend said it was like all that Lori would read, and Lori bought the friend the books to read as well. She's like, you gotta check these out. These are amazing. Oh my God, my mind is just awoke. So, who is Chad? Chad is a writer, like I had mentioned, and he was married to a woman named Tammy. And together they founded a company called Spring Creek Book Company. And that is where Chad would publish the majority of his books. Tammy and Chad would have 5 children together, and they lived in Springville, Utah. Chad seems to write a lot of like LDS dystopian fiction novels. A lot of his stories were about the end of times and how do you remain loyal to your faith when the world is coming to an end type of deal. Chad had a lot of books published, okay, but one of his best-selling books or his best-selling series is the Standing in Holy Places series. There are a total of 5 different books, and in this series, I'll give you a summary to get an idea. This is from Amazon, and it said, quote, in the near future, Tad and Emma North and their children live in a United States that is growing increasingly wicked. Many Latter-day Saints are being deceived by alluring temptations, and they wonder how much longer the Lord will allow American society to continue its downward spiral. Church leaders sent out an invitation for the saints to gather together, but this invitation wasn't well accepted and even openly mocked. But those faithful church members who trust in the Lord soon find themselves accomplishing monumental tasks. The Great Gathering, the first novel in the Standing in Holy Places series, paints a vivid picture of exciting prophesied events that still must occur before the second coming. If you have an interest in what awaits the members of the LDS Church, this series should definitely be on your reading list. End quote. And just a little disclaimer, not a disclaimer, but a side note, like I am not pointing the finger at the LDS Church or anything like that. Like, hey man, as long as you're not hurting anybody like these shitheads, I respect whichever religion, faith you choose. Chad is also reported to be a bit of a doomsday prepper and a regular guest on a podcast called Preparing a People podcast. This podcast company has since deleted any episodes Chad has participated in, but what they would talk about there is mainly the end times, the end is coming, how to, again, just remain in faith and prepare yourself for these events. I did not get to listen to the podcast, so I have really no idea what they fully talked about, but the little clips that I did hear, it just sounds very, what's the word, fear-mongering, is it? Because it sounds like they're trying to scare people with the reality that the world is going to end. And whether you believe that or not, whatever. But it just sounded very intense. Chad was kind of putting himself on this pedestal, saying that he, has these powers to speak to just a higher power. Chad has mentioned a couple of times that he's spoken to people who are dead. They come to him. He's also had near-death experiences and where he got these just crazy visions about what's to come and just has visions. That's so Raven, but real life. He's the special one, apparently. I'm amazing. Listen to me. I'm sure the Latter-day Saint community would not agree that his beliefs and whatnot are what represent them as a whole. So again, sometime in 2015, Lori bought Chad's Standing in Holy Places series and became obsessed with them, according to friends. Chad and Lori did not know each other that we know of. And if they did know each other, it had to be through emails, maybe, possibly like the internet. They both lived in different states at the time. I'm sure investigators are on it. I'm curious to know if they have traced any emails between the two of them or like letters, anything in 2015. Probably they talked here and there, right? They had to. June 2015, Chad and his wife, they end up purchasing a home in Salem, Idaho after Chad claims that he heard voices tell him move to Rexburg, Idaho. Also, Chad wrote on his blog about this. He heard a voice telling him that he needed to move to this location, to the Holy Land. But they end up moving from Springville, Utah to Salem, Idaho. Tammy takes a position working as a librarian, and Chad continues his bullshit. So in late 2016, maybe early 2017, Lori and Charles, they moved from Hawaii to Chandler, Arizona. April 3rd, 2018, Lori's ex-husband, Joseph Ryan, do you remember him? He dies. Cause of death was a heart attack. Sadly, Joseph, his body ends up being cremated. At the time, there was nothing suspicious about his passing, but now, of course, it's like, fuck, man, did he really die of a heart attack? Lori's brother really wanted stay on the timeline, Bailey. I'll add my opinions at the end. So then December 5th, 2018, Chad and Lori, they are both on the podcast together, preparing a People podcast. They appear on the episode, a couple of episodes together. On the episodes, they just talk about, again, the end of the world, the end of times, the apocalypse, just stuff like that. So they appear on a podcast together. So then February 8th, 2019, Charles files for a divorce from Lori. It says in the documents that Charles says Lori was threatening to kill him. She stole $35,000 from his business account, and she was claiming to be a reincarnation of God. Her exact wording was that she was a, quote, translated being who cannot taste death, sent by God to lead the 144,000 into the millennium. End quote, and was preparing for the second coming of Christ. These were one of his reasons for wanting a divorce. Based off police records, they actually seem to have a very toxic relationship, and it seemed like, this is a personal opinion, but based off of what I've read, it seemed like Lori was very abusive to Charles. She was controlling. She played some sick games. At this time when this happened, with her being a god, Charles actually got a hold of mental hospital because he wanted to have Lori put into holding. She just was very manic. This is what Charles was saying, and he felt like she needed help. So she had agreed that she was going to get help. Lori just wouldn't follow through. Charles, he just seemed really nice, and he wanted to be with Lori. He wasn't giving up on this marriage at all. So Charles finally files for a divorce, okay? He's done. He can't do it anymore, right? Okay, so then February/March of 2019, after Charles files for divorce, this is when Lori, she just vanishes for 58 days, leaving both her husband and her kids. Charles says that he had no idea where she went, and nobody seems to know where she was at that time. So for 58 days, she was MIA. I know, nuts. I would bet money that Chad knew where she was, but I mean, I have read some reports that she and Tylee were in Hawaii, but then I also read that that was untrue. Again, maybe we should ask Chad. So I'm not sure what the F she was doing for 58 days. But that just lets you know that she's comfortable with picking up and leaving easily. She just left everyone behind. Like, that's just so strange, right? So then in February, the date is unclear, but a friend of Tammy and Chad, remember they're married, a friend of the family who had published a couple of books through their company, and she said that she was very close with them and she spoke to them almost every day because they were working just very closely together. She said that she spoke to Chad on FaceTime, and he expressed that him and Tammy were tight on money and he was doing his best to keep his marriage together. She said that Chad often spoke to her about his visions of Tammy dying. Ain't that some shit? The friend said, quote, he really felt like she was going to pass away last fall between October and December, end quote. Very specific time frame, but he believed this. Unsure if Tammy knew she was going to die, in March of 2019, the divorce between Lori and Charles was actually dismissed because Charles called it off. He decided he wanted to try to make the marriage work with Lori. Melanie. June 2019. Melanie is Lori's niece. Following, Lori's niece, Melanie, is married or was married to a man named Brandon. June 2019, Melanie, she asks or tells Brandon that she wants a divorce. Brandon, according to his Facebook, because he made a big long post about it, he believed that it was due to Melanie's new religious beliefs after following her aunt into what he called a cult. So Melanie joined Lori with her extreme extreme doomsday beliefs and was balls deep in there, just ride or die for it. But Brandon said it came as a complete shock because he was under the impression his marriage was in a really good place. Lori and Charles are separated at this time. Charles is paying for a home in Chandler, Arizona for Lori and the 2 children to live in. Charles is living at a different location. In July of 2019, Charles goes to Lori's home in Chandler, Arizona to pick up JJ. Tylee is there as well. Also at the home was Lori's brother, Alex Cox. Alex stayed the night and all 4 of them were in the home. When Charles came to pick up JJ, he and Lori got into a violent dispute. Tylee, the daughter, she was in her bedroom and she came out of her bedroom when she heard the argument happening, and she was holding a metal baseball bat, which was said to protect her mother from any violent attacks from Charles. It's said that the bat was taken from Tylee by Charles. He sees the bat, he takes it from her, and that he swung and hit Alex, the brother, in the head with the bat. At this point, Alex then said he shot and killed Charles because self-defense in front of the kids. Yes. Police initially ruled the case as just that, self-defense, and they did not think anything suspicious about it. Immediately after the shooting happened, Lori took both of the children and left the house. It's unclear exactly where they went. It's assumed that she may have dropped JJ off at school because she didn't return with him. When Lori returned to the home, she actually came back with Tylee. So Tylee was still with her, and they came back. Police were there waiting to speak to her. And we know this because there is body cam footage from the police when she came back to talk to them. So they're speaking outside. Tylee is right next to her, and they're very calm. It's also caught on the body cam footage when Alex was originally questioned. He said he was in the home alone when this happened. She said that she was there with the kids. So 2 different stories. Based off the body cam footage, Lori seems super calm. She's laughing, her hair. I know I shouldn't make a comment about her physical appearance, but I believe it's the sister-in-law or the ex-sister-in-law said that Lori never had her makeup done or had her hair done. So when she saw the body cam footage, her hair's done, she has makeup on, she's looking cute. The sister-in-law said that was just really strange. It was just weird. But the body cam footage shows that she's just really calm. She's kind of giggling here and there. Tylee also is pretty calm as well. Overall, she just doesn't really seem a little sad or upset. It makes you wonder why police didn't investigate the situation further in the first place, especially because if they would have simply looked into the background and saw that Charles recently tried to put Lori into a hospital to get help because she seemed mentally unstable, but they didn't. The police sucked. I think they dropped the ball on that one. Now, it was reported by neighbors that very same night her husband was killed. The family had a pool party over at the house. Neighbors reported that it was loud, there's a lot of music. So the next day, July 12th, 2019, Lori sends out a text message to Charles' 2 children from the previous marriage. So she texts them to let them know that their dad died. Now, I don't know about you. I took 1 etiquette class, okay? And from my understanding, if there's been a death in the family, you don't text someone that their dad just died. So Lori sent out a text message to both of the kids saying, quote, "Hi boys, I have some very sad news. Your dad passed away yesterday. I'm working on making arrangements and I'll keep you informed with what's going on. I'm still not sure how to handle things. I just want to let you know that I love you and so did your dad. Heart emoji." End quote. So, of course, the 2 children are trying to get more answers and they're trying to get in contact with Lori, and she's giving no responses to them, not really giving them much to work with. The family really didn't get many answers as to what happened. So sometime in end of July, early August, JJ, he actually had a service dog named Bailey. Charles had gotten this dog a year prior. They were attached to the hip. They were together all the time. And this service dog seemed to be fantastic for JJ. In end of July, early August, Lori called up the trainers where they got the service dog from. And she said, "You need to have someone come out here and pick up this dog right now." When the dog trainer asked, "Why do you need us to come pick up the dog?" or just asking questions why they could no longer use Bailey, Lori told the trainer that Charles was shot and that was it. Bailey was rehomed and is now helping another little boy with autism, but the trainer just thought it was really odd because you don't just give away service animals. They're trained specifically for the person it's needed for. Sometimes not. You don't get rid of them. August 10th, 2019, JJ's grandmother spoke with JJ through FaceTime. She said it was around 35 seconds. That was the last time that she physically saw JJ. End of August, early September 2019, Lori, Tylee, and JJ, they moved to Rexburg, Idaho. Lori's niece, Melanie, and also Lori's brother Alex moved to Rexburg as well. They didn't all move together like on the same day, but it happened within the same couple of days. The reason why they moved remains unclear, to say the least. Even weirder part, the whole family, all 5 of these people, they move to Rexburg, Idaho, and they move into the same apartment complex. So they're all like next door to each other. Is that not weird? Well, I mean, maybe it's not. A neighbor who helped Lori move into her new apartment said that they saw Tylee around the residence. They saw her briefly a couple of times after she moved in, but have not seen her since the first couple of weeks in September. The neighbors also said that their son played with JJ multiple times. September 8th, through phone records, police were able to determine that Tylee, Lori, Alex, and JJ, they went on a day trip to Yellowstone National Park. Investigators were able to obtain a photograph of Tylee at the park entrance, and also they were able to get a warrant and access to Lori's iCloud account where they were able to get a photo of Tylee in Yellowstone Park, and it had like the location on it. Now, this is the last time any record of Tylee being with Lori is found. No witnesses who investigators can verify have seen Tylee since September 8th. Based off police records, it was shown that JJ's autism medication was never filled, not once since moving to Idaho. Last time it was filled was in January, so 9 months prior, in Arizona. Lori hasn't been making sure that JJ is taking his medication or just getting his medication in general. September 23rd, JJ is seen at elementary school in Rexburg for the last time because on September 24th, Lori unenrolled JJ from school, saying that she was going to now homeschool. Police say Tylee was also last seen around this time, but there's no confirmations, no witnesses, nothing. So it's not believed to be true unless they can get a confirmation. They also saw that Tylee wasn't enrolled in high school at all. Lori said she graduated early, but I've heard mixed things, and so I don't really know. So October 1st, 2019, Lori signs a contract with a Self-Storage Plus in Rexburg to rent a storage unit. Surveillance video shows Lori and a man, what seems to be her brother Alex, on the camera, visiting the unit a total of 9 times in October and once in November. According to the footage, items brought to the storage unit included children's bicycles and a variety of items belonging to JJ and Tylee. And you can see Lori and her brother struggling with some very heavy containers. You could tell that they're struggling because it's super heavy. And naturally, as much as you don't want to think that, but you know, what's in it? Also on the footage was a man that they couldn't recognize, or they didn't know who it was. We don't know for sure, but speculation says that it looked to be Chad. What you doing there?